Lightning get past the Vegas Golden Knights and they score not one, but two power play goals in the process. We'll talk about what went different, plus an update on Anthony Cirelli's injury on today's Locked On Lightning.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free daily Tampa Bay Lightning podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we want to begin with a shout out to our everydayers, those of you who tune into every single show, every single day. We love you guys. We appreciate the support you give us week in, week out. I'm Nick Morgan, and I am joined by the Kenny Rogers to my Dolly Parton, Greg Steven. Greg, not just a win, but two power play goals in the process. Who says
what a game!
Can't score on the man advantage?
Yeah, what a game. Happy Friday to everyone. I'm still recovering, so bear with my voice again. But yeah, excellent game last night. Really, really good one. And huge win to finish the road trip.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that stood out about last night's game. One, I think, is leadership, because I want to talk about the Lightning going down 2-0 early. Obviously, some Anthony Cirelli scary news out there. We saw him leave halfway through the game with an injury, did not come back. We'll have an update on his condition, plus what we loved from this game. One person in particular who we've been talking about a lot lately, Greg, had a massive game. And we're going to talk about him coming up in our plus minus. Before we get to all that, do want to mention today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All right, Greg, we wanted to see it. We wanted to see a rebound performance after a loss against Colorado. A little hairy at first, but at the end of the day, this is a great win. Another great win for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, for sure. And wow, I want to say it right now. We've been pretty good at predicting some of the stuff that's going to happen, but we were pretty much exactly the opposite on this one.
Yeah. It was, I think you mentioned the fourth line was wound up -3 or something like that.
Yeah, I think Yanni and Holmberg were -3 and Girgensons was -1.
I do want to say they did score an empty net goal.
They did. They put in a point.
I was right about the empty net goal.
You were right about that. But I will say, we said tight game, like maybe 2-1, 3-2. Nope, 6-3. It was looking good for a while, but then the Bolts just came to life at the end.
I think you actually texted me. It's like, hey, your 4-2 prediction is actually looking good. And then it wound up being 4-3 like 2 minutes later. So,
right, yeah.
It happens. Again, 6-3 final score. Lightning beat the Golden Knights. Let's get to the recap for those of you who weren't able to stay up late last night and catch all the game. Did not look good in the first period for the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's for sure. Outshot 15-3 in the first period. And to top it all off, Ivan Barbashev gets not one, but two goals. Lightning down 2-0 in the first period. But then right off the bat in the second period, Lightning go to work. Gage Gonzalez off a turnover behind the net gets his first of the year right after Greg talked about wanting to bench him.
Right.
Keep that energy, Greg. Also good play from Dominic James there. And then right after that, Dominic James, his first career NHL goal off just an absolutely mad scramble in front of the net. It's tied 2-2. Then
I want to stop you right there because that goal, what an effort by Oliver Bjorkstrand. I mean, that whole play doesn't happen without just a consistent effort for the puck. Like in front of the net, he gets his own rebound to put it back in front of the net. He really set that whole thing up.
Yeah, I'm loving that. And then third period, it's tied 2-2. Greg, it's a power play goal.
Yes.
Almost wasn't a power play goal. It went in with 1 second left, but Nikita Kucherov gets it in. Greg, finally, the curse of the power play goal is broken here. And it's Bjorkstrand again who set that up.
And let me tell you, that pass by Bjorkstrand, nasty. Yeah. Nasty. It looked like a Kucherov pass. Looked beautiful.
Yeah, big, because we were talking about Bjorkstrand as a guy that needed to step up this season.
Exactly.
Celebration was short-lived. Mitch Marner gets the Golden Knights back even 3-3 less than a minute later. But then right after that, while the Vegas fans are still celebrating Mitch Marner's tying goal, Brandon Hagel, another wrist shot from the circle. It's 4-3. And Greg, your boy Hagel's on fire.
He is. He's tearing it up right now. And I'm loving it in fantasy and I'm loving it in real life.
Yeah. Time winding down. Nikita Kucherov, power play goal again, this time off a feed from Victor Hedman, makes it 5-3. Another power play goal here. And then Brandon Hagel at the end of the game ices it with an empty netter. 2 goals for Kucherov, 2 goals for Brandon Hagel. 6-3 Lightning win, Greg. I feel like pretty much anything you wanted to see for the Tampa Bay Lightning to prove they're back, it happened in this game, man.
Yeah, 100%. I think everything that we wanted to see happened, right? We were talking about how Gage hasn't really been doing too much, and he gets his first goal. And to be honest with you, that Dominic James goal, if you watch it back, Gage almost scored that, and he just got lift checked, and then Dominic came in and finished it off, which is perfect. But yeah, Gage looked great in this one. Dominic James looked excellent in this one, and it's so great that he gets on the score sheet finally because it gives him some confidence.
Yep.
Those two just looked electric yesterday.
Let's dive into our plus minus a little bit. We'll break down some of these points one at a time here. Greg, give me a plus and a minus from you this game.
How can my plus not be Nikita Kucherov? I mean,
amen.
He came to life. He looked like Nikita Kucherov. What do you have? 3 points, I think.
3 points for him.
3 points. He was the first star of the game. 2 power play goals. His second shot was awesome too. Mm-hmm. Like that was just a great shot, like far side. I think it got slightly deflected, but it looked like it was going in anyway, to be honest with you. And he just looked great. I mean, he was in the right spots. He made smart plays, and I didn't see any like awkward turnovers or anything like that from him. I think he looked like he was in his prime as usual.
Yeah, 1 giveaway, and if I remember correctly, I think it was maybe just like kind of a stretch pass that bounced off something and didn't work out. So it wasn't like an egregious turnover or anything like that.
Yeah.
So Nikita Kucherov, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. Brandon Hagel, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. You know who the other 3-point player was in this game, Greg?
If I had to guess, it's got to be like, it can't be Bjorkstrand, can it? No, it was Mitch Marner.
No. He might have, but did he have? I don't know. I'm talking about the Lightning here.
Dominic James. That's who it is.
Dominic James. He is my plus. He came into this, Greg. We were singing his praises for weeks on this one, Greg. We love the way he competes. We love the energy he brings. Absolutely love the way he plays. Just hadn't gotten on the score sheet. And within the first 4, I think it was the first 3 goals for the Lightning, gets his first NHL point with an assist on Gage's goal. Great feed from behind the net. Gets his first NHL goal. We talked about him cleaning up the rebound on that shuffle play in front of the net. And then a few moments later, gets his first multi-point game of his career. So 3 points for him. I loved seeing him and, just the amount of play and the level of play he's had lately. I love seeing that pay off with points.
Yeah, 100%. He deserves it. And like I said, he deserves to be in this lineup 100%.
100%. So he's my plus. Greg, let's get to our minuses. What's your minus from this game?
We'll dive into my minus a little heavier in the next segment, but I just want to look at Andrei Vasilevskiy a little bit. I think those first 2 goals weren't his best efforts. And I'm not saying I'm panicked about him or anything. I just think this was one of his weaker games that we've seen, especially that second goal. It was a pretty soft shot, very clear, right in front of him, and it kind of just trickles through. I think he usually will make that save.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. We'll talk about this more a little bit, but yeah, that second goal wasn't good. I might give you some pushback on that first one just a little bit because I think
we'll talk about it.
But we'll dive into that a little bit in our next segment. And then this is something we're definitely going to dive into is my minus being Anthony Cirelli leaving the game halfway through with an injury. Not exactly sure what happened. It was like he was in front of the net. His skates kind of get a little not pitchforked, but they kind of spread out, almost like he was like kind of forced into doing the splits. We thought, was it some kind of lower body injury? Gets up, skates immediately to the locker room, doesn't come back. We heard after the game from Tampa that it's an upper body injury, which looking at the play, I'm not fully sure how, but either way, they said they're hopeful he's back this weekend, but obviously nothing official from the team or anything yet. And yeah, it sucks because Anthony Cirelli is you and I both pointed out, probably the MVP of the team so far this season. And I think as the Lightning are rolling right now, they can't afford to lose anybody, much less the guy who's you and I both agree has been their best player to start the year.
Yeah, 100%. It's a big loss. And them saying hopeful for the weekend is a great sign, obviously, right? I mean, that doesn't mean he's going to be out extensively, but you also got Paul coming back. So if he's unable to go and Paul is able to return soon, that's probably almost good for them, because then they don't really have a big choice to make as far as who to replace, right?
I'm going to stop you right there and say any scenario in which Anthony Cirelli is not in the lineup is not a good scenario.
Of course. But if someone's going to return to the lineup too, at least there's a spot. There's less. Who do we take out?
Yeah. There you go, Gage Gonzalez.
Trying to see the positivity in things. Okay.
I admire it. I admire the optimism. The hockey optimism. Yeah. Obviously more to go to. I want to dive into your Andrei Vasilevskiy take a little bit more, and then let's dive into what happens if Anthony Cirelli is not able to go this weekend. Plus more takeaways from this game, and I want to talk about the leadership of this Lightning team, because listen, we called it out a little bit at the beginning of the season. What's our take now after this hot run? We'll talk about it when we come back. Today's episode is brought to you by Rugiet. Let's be real, guys. Making excuses doesn't solve anything, and we've heard them all before. It's just stress. I'm just tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's okay. That's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, so no awkward waiting rooms or no in-person appointments. And if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit Rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your first order. Again, Rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. We're back on Locked On Lightning. Nick Morgan alongside Greg Steven. And Greg, let's start with Anthony Cirelli here, because I admire your positivity. I always admire your gumption and spunk, but I don't think the Lightning can afford to lose Anthony Cirelli for any period of time. Again, it sounds positive. The update we got from the Lightning last night, upper body injury, quote unquote, hoping to have him back Saturday for Washington. So it sounds like maybe they're hoping he doesn't miss any time. But if he does, Greg, how do the Lightning handle the Anthony Cirelli sized hole in the middle of their lineup?
It's a great question. I don't even know what the answer is, to be honest with you. But I think if I'm going to give more positivity and optimism to you, we watched the Vegas Golden Knights have a 4-minute power play at the end of that game, and Anthony Cirelli is their best penalty killer, and they still killed it off.
Yeah.
So, yes, losing Cirelli is awful. Do I think it's going to make or break this team? It's a loss. I still think they're going to be powerful without him. Like, they killed a 4-minute. I mean, Hagel is an excellent penalty killer. And I think you can still slot in guys like Bjorkstrand, or sorry, not Bjorkstrand, Girgensons and like Yanni on the penalty kill. Those guys are elite at putting the puck deep and harassing in the or the offensive zone. So yes, would I prefer to have Cirelli on that? Yes. Do I think it's gonna destroy the team? No. As far as what do you do? I don't know. We'll talk about that first goal on Vasi a little bit, but I blame Radish a little bit for that goal. And I don't know if I want to keep running Radish either. So I was going to say you run 7D, but I don't know if I believe that anymore. Now I'm kind of thinking you just stay with 6 and you slot in someone. You bring up Finley?
Radish instead of Crozier. And Crozier didn't play a lot when he was the 7th D either.
Right. And I'm wondering if he's still maybe a little injured, to be honest with you.
I assume they're probably easing him back in.
Yeah.
And look, you don't want to take out Desto because I thought he had another really strong game last night.
Yeah.
I mean, I know your instinct is going to be let's take out Lilleberg, but I also don't think you can look at him these past few games and say that's somebody that we're taking out.
No, I think you sit Radish way before Lilleberg, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I will say this. If we're talking about the lineup itself, I mean, I would see a situation. Obviously, we talked before the season about Jake Gensel was kind of taking a lot of face-offs last year, and I could see him maybe being like that second line center. But the problem with that is you are already playing with 2 guys on that second line. Yeah. So remember, they had that open right wing spot that they were rotating guys in and out. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, it's going to require some shuffling. And look, if Nick Paul comes back, that certainly makes things easier. But it's I don't know if it's necessarily the route you would want to go if, for whatever reason, Cirelli is out long term.
Yeah, I would assume we'll know the true details of his injury within the next day. So we'll kind of go from there. But it is, again, just being positive. But if Paul has a space to kind of work his way back into the lineup, with the slot that's open, I think that's probably good because you want to ease him back in too. But now with if you look at time on ice, Holmberg's playing the least and Gage is kind of playing the least and Dominic James is kind of playing the least. And now that they kind of showed a little electricity last game, I mean, their ice time shouldn't go down, in my opinion. They should be playing more. It's interesting because did you see that they took point off the power play at one point?
I didn't. Or I didn't catch that at least. Who was out there instead of him?
If I recall, it was Dominic James. They put him in front of the net. And I was kind of like, wow, I can't believe they did that. But at the same time, Pointer hasn't looked excellent this year. And he had a couple of plays yesterday even. I think zone entry specifically on the power play, he just coughed the puck up. And I don't think it was a punishment to Point, but more a reward to James for how well he was playing, Yeah. So I don't think that's something that they'll necessarily continue with, but I really thought from a coaching perspective that was a great decision in this moment. And I just wanted to bring that up because it was very subtle and I didn't even notice it until one of the commentators had said it. And then I looked again and I was like, wow, yeah, Point is not out there, but Kuch is, Bjorkstrand is, So I just thought that was very interesting.
And it also rewards Dominic James a little bit for how well he's been playing and how well he's kind of been meshing.
Right. I hope I didn't misspeak. I know Point was not out there, and I'm almost certain it was James, but I have sick brain, so I'm a little foggy.
You're good. Yeah, Point, not another game in which he didn't look super effective. That's a different topic for another day. I want you to dive into a little bit more on Vasilevskiy for a bit. Yeah. So you're kind of the opinion it was not his best game.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I mean, look, the third goal is not him at all. And honestly, the first goal was probably not him either. I think he thought he could save that with a glove, the first goal. And it ended up being, a pad save, which he made a great one too. And the issue there is that the rebound is free. And I want to shift my blame mostly to Radish there because I think he's got to be on that guy. I mean, there's just no reason for that guy to be wide open to put that rebound in. But at the same time, I think maybe it is a difficult catch, but Vasi could probably catch that puck. There's just like a slight argument there, maybe. Played goalie for a long time, but
yeah.
I actually did, no, genuinely.
NHL goaltending expert Greg Stevens.
No.
Better than I did.
The second goal is where my issue really is, because I think that was very soft. I mean, there were 4 defensemen there. And look, yeah, that guy in front should not be open either. Again, defensive issue, right? Like, that guy shouldn't have that shot initially at all.
Yeah.
But that being said, if you watch that goal back a couple times, it was kind of like right to him, and it just trickled through. And look, everyone has those moments. I'm not saying Vasi's bad or washed or anything like that. Please don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I think that was probably savable. And I think in a better game, he makes that save every time,
It was one I think he wishes he had back. I think that's a good
for sure.
It. I first goal, maybe he could have catch it. I don't know. That's a tough save for a goalie.
Is it? Yeah, it is.
And I didn't, when I saw it, put the blame on him at all. In fact, when you told me you want to talk about Andrei Vasilevskiy, and then you're like, oh yeah, he's my minus. I was like, what are you talking about? Because I don't know. I feel like he made a lot of really good saves in this game. Again, the Golden Knights didn't have a lot of shots on goal in the second period, but that one timer where he slid all the way over to rob it with his glove. One of the better saves I've seen from him this season. I thought he shut the door great in the third period, because obviously the Golden Knights were swarming. I know that, Marner got that goal, but I think he really did help sort of save the door when Vegas was pushing at the end. I don't know. To me, I didn't see Vasilevskiy as a problem, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I just think also, just looking at this game as a whole, there really aren't a lot of minuses. And yeah, the Cirelli loss is certainly a minus, obviously. But if I'm looking from like a gameplay perspective, I think just that second goal was probably the worst moment of the game for them. And also, just specifically at that time when you're down 1-0 and you're trying to keep the team in it, and then you see that second goal kind of trickle in, and you're like, they're down 2-0 now because of that. Yeah. It just put a bad taste in my mouth, and that's why I picked it. But yeah, again, if you look at the game as a whole, you know what? Let's move to the third segment, because this is major takeaways at this point.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I was just gonna let you cook for a while, but
I'll cook in a minute.
You talk about there not being a lot of minuses in this game, and a big reason why, and a big reason I think the Lightning have turned the corner, is leadership. Both coaching from John Cooper and I think some of the guys in the locker room. I want to dive into that when we come back in just 1 second. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's not just hockey that's back, folks. The NBA is now back in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. We're back on Locked On Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg, Steven, and Greg. Obviously, the Lightning, I think we can safely say, have turned the corner from the season. Six wins in their last 7 games. Six wins in last 7.
6-7.
Whatever the hell the kids are saying nowadays. Obviously, they've looked really good in the process. And we saw something last night that I've seen during this hot streak. And that is the Lightning got absolutely smoked in the first period. 15-3 shot advantage for Vegas. And I was going back to what we said in our pregame yesterday, which was, I just don't want to see them take a step back. I don't want them to go into this game and regress and get back into their old habits. After that first period, I was thinking, crap, here we go again.
Me too.
Everything that we've been talking about. So what happens? The Lightning respond with a absolutely dominant second period. It starts with that Gage Gonsalves goal, great forechecking from Oliver Bjorkstrand, great feed from Dominic James. We see another really scrappy goal a few minutes later, and then all of a sudden the Lightning are back on that front foot. That's something we were missing at the beginning of the season when the Lightning got off to their super cold start. You would see some hot spurts, and then something would happen.
Yeah.
A bad turnover would lead to a goal. They'd take too many penalties. They'd have a couple bad giveaways, and they would just sort of implode on themselves. That hasn't happened. In fact, we've seen a couple of times where the Lightning have gone down, where they have had to had some adversity, and they've come back and they've hit it in the face. And they've absolutely battled back anytime they've been down. Even the Colorado loss, remember, they were down 3-1.
Yeah.
They came storming right back and made it a game and were pushing till the very end. To me, Greg, that says a lot about the mindset of the team right now. And I think it starts with leadership from the veterans in that locker room and John Cooper.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And they're all making great leadership decisions and coaching decisions at this point, to be honest with you. I think it's all just flowing right now. And I liked what you said, like discipline was massive in this game. They only had 6 penalty minutes, and one of them was like a weird accidental Vasilevskiy 4-minute.
Yeah. Speaking of, can we dissect that for 1 second? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
It's high sticking. I mean, I'm not going to argue that. I think it's certainly high sticking. He's got to be mindful of, whirling his sticker out. I mean, you can't just casually not be paying attention and lift your stick and hit someone in the face, right? I mean, that's high sticking.
Sure. As far as I know people were a little on the fence about it. Like maybe it was in the path of him, follow through on the puck. I don't know. I was curious on your thoughts, but anyway, continue the point.
I think just on that, it's still, I know the commentators were debating whether it should be 4 or 2. And maybe that's where the gray area is for me. I didn't get to see really the blood or anything like that, because that's, how they make it a 4.
Yeah.
I would certainly say it's a 2-minute penalty at least, though. Like, I'm not going to deny that. I think that's a penalty. But I don't think that's like it is an undisciplined penalty, but it's not like the usual ones that we've seen this team take, where it's like Lilleberg tripping or Lilleberg interference, right?
Yeah.
And then the only other penalty was at the end of the game, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check. So I'm not speaking on. Yeah, it was a Gage trip. But again, they killed it. They killed it off without Cirelli. So that's big. I mean, 6 minutes without Cirelli on the PK, and they cleaned it, and it was great. And then we look at some of the other major areas, like major takeaways for me are giveaways are down tremendously. Only 8 in the whole game. That might even be a season low. I don't want to say that for certain, but I'm almost positive after watching most of these games.
I think it's one of the 2 lowest.
Yeah.
I think I had one where they maybe had like 6.
Okay. Well, yeah, because they've been in the teens, and I think last game it was like 16 or something, right? So 8 is fantastic. I'll take 8 every time. Great. Block shots 16, beautiful. Power play 50%, 2 for 4. Excellent. Like you said, they look sluggish in the first, but then they just completely flip the game in the second. And they look like a whole new team. You get points from Dominic and Gage, which I think is probably the most important part of this whole game, to be honest with you, because I think Dominic was completely pointless right before this game. And then Gage, we knew, was kind of slow, struggling. Confidence boosters for 2 young guys who needed a little boost. And hopefully that ignites them even further for, the coming games. And then you got the big guys stepping up, like Kuch has a 3-point night. Hagel looking excellent. And even Gensel notched an assist on the power play. I think the only thing you're missing here is Braden Point.
Yeah.
And we've talked about him looking a little off. And I don't think that's untrue still. I think he still looks a little.
No, I'm 100%. I think it's something up with his game right now. But I do want to, hone in a little bit on your point, because confidence is huge right now. And I could tell at the beginning of the season they weren't playing with a lot of confidence. And look, whatever they said, whether it was John Cooper, whether it was Victor Hedman, Nikita Kucherov, whatever leader was in that room, Mac Truck, whatever they said in that first intermission, like the message was received loud and clear because they played tremendous for the rest of the game. And I do think you have to call out the leadership of this team because it's something that we criticized a little bit at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And I don't think that sort of turnaround, that refocus happens that fast. And this, this big of a turnaround, if you don't have leaders in that team that are able to not only give that message, but also sort of receive it and be like, yep, you know what? We played like crap. I am one of the reasons for that. I'm going to go out and step my game up in the next period. And I think that's just a sign of how tight this locker room is. And look, we had concerns at the beginning of the season, this losing streak. We thought like maybe the message had gotten a little bit stale. Maybe guys are coming to this not as motivated as they have been in years past. Are people just going through the motions? That was questions we asked.
Yeah.
I think they've proven that the focus is there, the drive is there, and they have sort of the fortitude to wake themselves up right away in the middle of the game, not have to wait for a massive losing streak or anything like that.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with you. And I want to just go back to another point I made earlier. Swapping Braden Point out on the power play for Dominic James, I think is an elite coaching decision. And I know it's so subtle, but look, Point has been cold and Dominic James looked great in this one. And I think as a coach, it's a tough decision because it's like, do I continue to respect the fact that Point and Kuch have been my two guys on this power play forever? Or do I ride my hot hand and risk Point maybe taking a little damage emotionally from the fact that he is being removed? I think that's a tricky decision, honestly, as a coach. Yeah. But I still think it's smart. And I think Braden Point is the guy that knows that that's the right play. And I don't think that Point would take that to heart, So I really actually respect a lot that decision. And again, that goes back to what you're saying. It's leadership, but less from the players, like you were saying, and more from the coaching staff. I think you want to boost guys who are looking good. And Dominic has looked so good. Let him keep going. Let him keep getting confidence. He's on fire. Just let him flow. And I just love that. I think that's such a smart decision by them to do that.
Yeah. I'm with you 100% on that. And again, what a great way to reward Dominic James for his game last night. 3 points. Again, didn't have a point in his NHL career coming into last night. Yeah. Winds up with a 3-point night and gets a lot of extra responsibilities in the process.
Huge.
It's going to be a big weekend for Tampa Bay. They have, first off, they're back at home. They're playing Washington Capitals, led by the newest member of the NHL 900 goal club, the only member of the NHL's 900 goal club so far, Alexander Ovechkin. It's another one in which it's a good team coming to town. And look, the Lightning are going to want to keep that momentum going. We'll have some recap for you Monday, what we liked, and what we think about the direction of the team going in. Hey, in the meantime, be sure to follow us on social media. Just search Locked On Lightning wherever you're scrolling. Also, wherever you're listening, whether you're watching us on YouTube or tuning in on your favorite podcasting platform, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It helps us out, and it lets you guys know when we have new content for you. That's going to do it for us on this week's slate of Locked On Lightning. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Back with new episodes next week. We'll see you then.